Hey folks, Kevin, your budget travel guy here, and I am in the east still at this point. It is about 40 degrees outside right now. It was about 50 today thanks to this polar vortex. It's going to be about 4 degrees tomorrow night, so that should be lots of fun. But we'll get through a couple of days that suck, and then the weather will get back to normal and fairly tolerable. Anyway, wherever you are, because since this thing's supposed to affect about 85% of the country, I hope things go well for you. You know, you're not in an area that just gets slammed with cold and snow, but you probably are, so I hope you get through it well. But I'm not really going to talk about the weather today. I'm leaning more towards a different topic. And that topic is what goes on with a lot of other YouTube channels and websites that you may have bounced into that is dealing with, you know, camper vans and van life and RV living and whatever they're calling themselves, because a lot, and by a lot it seems to be most of these people seem to kind of take the attitude that they've almost had a religious experience now, and they've gotten out and they're doing whatever it is, and, you know, their way is the best way and the only way, and whatever else you're doing is possibly wrong. And I don't believe in that. Right and wrong is going to be different for all of us. My dreams and goals are going to be different than your dreams and goals, and hopefully you can pick up some things on this channel that are going to help you reach your dreams and goals if you haven't started yet. And if you're already out there, that you may find some things, you know, that you agree with, or some tips that help you out along the way towards wherever you're trying to get to in your little journey of life. So when I see these things and people are talking like this, it kind of offends me personally. Maybe it doesn't everyone else, but nobody likes being told that they're wrong. So when you're watching different people and trying to get your bearings on how you want to do things, don't let any of these people try to make you feel like you've made the wrong choice somehow, because you didn't just decide today to sell your house or give your apartment away and give all your furniture away and jump into the nearest vehicle and take off across the country without having any idea of what you're actually doing. Because life just doesn't work that way for most of us. You know, it's a little bit easier if you're 20, but I think most of my viewers, because I'm older, I reach a little bit older audience that's a little bit more mature, and quite honestly, we have responsibilities, you know, whether they're homes or their jobs or there's, you know, children involved or whatever, that in order for us to do things, because we're more responsible, it takes a little bit more planning. So in my case, I am not full-time doing this. I have worked for the last year to set myself up to where I could potentially do that. And maybe that is what the rest of this year will turn into for me. But it's taken quite a bit of planning and me changing some things around in order to even be in a position to think about doing that. So when you're watching my videos or anybody else's, you need to take what applies to you and that you can use to help you in whatever thing that you're aiming for. If you're aiming at going out and being full-time someday, that's great. If you're looking at being able to be part-time, that's great. If you're looking for a way to just maximize that week or two of vacation that you're going to have coming up and you're going to be able to travel, that's fine. Maybe you're in a situation where you're only able to go out and start doing this on weekends. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, right down to being as simple as, you know, starting this and figuring out what you need and camping in your backyard or over at a friend's house to see if this kind of stuff is going to be for you. Maybe you're the type of person that you've been out and you've always camped and you've always done this stuff all of your life. I wasn't one of those people. I went probably a decade at a time, you know, without going and sleeping one night in a tent throughout my life. You know, I liked some of it when I was younger, liked it in the military. But realistically, the last couple of decades out in the real world, I just didn't do a lot of that. So my angle became, if I can do this, I can stay out on the road longer. If I can do this and figure out how to get these costs down, I don't have to work as hard out in the real world to be able to pull this off out in the camping world. So again, we all have different dreams and goals. So use what works for you. But don't let any of these people tell you that what you're thinking about doing or the way you're thinking about doing it is wrong. Now, I think it would be interesting to know, and if you could put this down in the comments section, if you feel comfortable doing it and you're a subscriber, you know, whether you're out there full time, because I've talked to some people in chats and things. I know some of my subscribers have been out doing this for years, some for over a decade. Whether you're doing it part-time like I'm doing at the moment, whether you're just getting started or thinking about doing it, if you have a goal of being able to do this summer or next year, or it would be interesting just to kind of gauge, if you'd like to share that information, you know, where you stand in your goals and what will help you get to your goals. And while we're on this topic, I guess we could talk a little bit about wishes and dreams and goals, because different people have different definitions for what these words mean. You know, I think we all have daydreams and wishes, and that's different from having a set goal in your mind, because once it becomes a goal, it becomes just something you're working for. And I think your subconscious will help you get there once you have something that you're aiming for. You know, wishes and hopes and dreams, it's like, you know, I can say, well, would you like a new Cadillac? You might say, sure. What do I have to do to get it? Well, are you just going to give it to me? Or, okay, but here's 10 things that you need to do in order to get to that point that I hand you the keys. Well, that's completely different. Now you've gone from a wish or a dream or a maybe. Now it's a set goal, something that you are working for. So if you decide, you know, camping, camper vans, van life, RV life, whatever is going to be your goal, then you can start getting it in your head and figuring out what you need to do in order to prepare to do that. And I know people that have done this well, even without a van. met people that have done this in cars. I know people have done this just in a pickup truck with a camper on the back, all the way up to people that have the nicer things and fifth wheels and full-size RVs and all of that. Sometimes it's a matter of what you can afford. Sometimes it's a matter of just what you're comfortable with and the type of lifestyle you want to be doing out there. There's nothing wrong with the $500,000 motorhome on wheels if you're going to go to the RV resorts and you're going to stay there for a week at a time, sometimes a month at a time. If that's what turns you on, that's great. For me, I want to be more mobile. I'm going to be out exploring towns. I'm going to be looking for abandoned buildings. I'm going to be doing the quirky roadside stuff when I travel. I'm going to try to hit Joe's hot dog stand and meet some of the locals. That's just my personality and the way I like to do it. And with that said, I can't do that lifestyle and be on a tour bus. I have to have a smaller vehicle, which is why I like the minivan, or this van that I'm in at the moment that's a little bit bigger. That still gives me the maneuverability to be able to go almost anywhere and find and explore the things that turn me on. And again, that's part of that right and wrong. My way's right, your way's wrong. My way's right, everybody else is wrong. Don't buy into that crap. Figure out what's going to work for you and start working towards making it work for you. So hey, the great thing about this platform is, you know, you can see some of what I do in these videos. You can communicate with me a little bit down in the comment section if you choose to, and we can all compare notes and ways that we do things, and we can all learn from each other. And by being able to do that, we can all further our own goals. Another thing with some of these gurus that annoy me a little bit sometimes is that they come across as they have cut ties with the world and this is what they're going to do the rest of their life. And if you're like me, as you get older, you know that life has different phases to it. And I am not the same now as I was at 40 or 30 or 20. I guarantee that you're not the same as you were 10, 20, 30 years ago. So we see things different. That's just a natural part of growing up and growing old. So I think a lot of these people that are pitching this stuff on here sometimes, you know, they don't have a clue, and they may think that they've figured life out at 30 and this is what they're going to do the rest of their life. And I about guarantee that most of them 2 years from now won't be doing this anymore. They'll be doing something else. Something will change. They'll be back different. And that's another thing too. You know, there are people who have been out there for years. I've met people who have been out there for decades. Matter of fact, I know I have a couple of subscribers that have been out there for more than a decade. They figured it out. It works for them. That is great. But that doesn't mean that has to be your goal. As we talked about before, your goal can be whatever works for you, whatever you want your goal to be. So don't feel like you have to copy any of these people, including me. Phases I've gone through in life, and one of them simply is work. 20 years ago, I loved what I did. 10 years ago, I was still pretty high on what I did. I liked what I did. And in the 10 years since then, I pretty much grew to despise what I did for a living. Everything that I found joy in, everything that I loved about it, it just changed. And those changes were beyond my control. And I can remember earlier in life and meeting people and talking to people who absolutely hated their job and hated going to work, and, you know, would walk into wherever they worked at and just wanted to turn around and walk back out the door. And I never understood that because I was pretty happy with what I did. But in the last decade, I came to understand that real well. So there's nothing wrong with changing your goals as you go on in life. And never let anybody tell you that you can't do that. You can reinvent yourself. You can become a different type of person. You can have new dreams that you want to chase after. And hopefully with some of this stuff, we can compare notes and chase these dreams together. And I'll see you next time.